Welcome to Like Pigs in Space, an arts and culture podcast. I'm Aaron Mason.
And I'm Max Mason.
Hopefully
Sure.
I pull something together today.
Cool.
No.
I bet you will.
Yeah, I was going around and about between a few different topics this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an idea for something, and it's okay. But this one builds off last week's discussion.
My last week?
Yes, your last
Okay.
week. I think this is maybe a history lesson that led to the eventuality of Phoebe Bridgers and so,
Yeah.
right? That's the right name?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You got it.
Yes. And topic that you were talking about, how you didn't know maybe why it affected you so much.
Yeah.
And that kind of comes into play in this topic. And I even listened to somebody else doing an analysis of what I'm going to be talking about. And
Okay.
and it was the one thing that was interesting. Their analysis was different, more history and stuff like that, but they're mostly just literature. And they took one slant on this, but I think it avoided some big subject matter that it also addresses that more relates to that not understanding. But they did kind of address that topic of why do we like things, and
Oh, yeah. Okay.
and so that was, I think there's a lot of that in this. This is a single piece, and it's one of those things that, and we'll kind of understand this later, but it's one of those things that you like it. And something that was mentioned is there's certain, let's say, certain pieces of music, certain films that you go back to over and over again and can go back to over and over again.
Yeah.
Some of them it's just because it's entertaining in the right way and it doesn't take a lot of commitment. We have certain things that can run in the background just because it's the good noise. We know what it is. We'll play psych so that we can sleep
Yeah.
or
Right.
take a rest, And
I have some like YouTube videos that I watch to go to bed that I've watched so much that they don't show ads on them anymore.
that's really cool. That's hilarious. Yeah, that kind of thing. And then there's other things that we listen to or we see that we have to go back to because it was engaging, but we don't know why. And so we have to keep going back to it.
Yeah.
And there's, this kind of falls into that range. And so to begin with, we'll kind of get into questions about that because you had the questions about something affecting you. And you don't know why. We already did that. But so some good examples of this, and maybe you can come up with some examples too. But we went to, and I wish I could remember the artist. I had it at one point, but we went to the Smithsonian, right, as a family.
Yeah.
One year. And it's fun. You get to see a lot of crazy stuff, crazy history. But we went to the art museum.
Yeah.
And there's some amazing art there, but there was a piece there that made me fairly emotional when I saw it. And this happens quite a bit for me because it was abstract.
Yeah. I think I kind of remember.
Yeah.
One.
And what's interesting about having an emotional response to abstract art is that it's a lot like what we're going to talk about today, in that you don't understand why at first, but it grabs you. So the piece was basically just a big swath of black. So it was a very big piece of canvas, but it just had a big brush of black in a certain shape on it.
Yeah.
And that was about it. And it was very emotional. And it's the same thing we were talking about with William Carlos Williams, is where it's simple, but you can't replicate it. and
Yeah.
and and there's something that swath was stopped or right at the right moment to make that impression.
Yeah.
So that artist, from what I remember, does though that painting would have been a concept for a monumental piece because he'll do sails across a whole entire canyon. Um,
Okay.
so um,
Yeah.
the painting was by a sculptor
Hmm.
named Richard Serra,
Okay.
and he does monumental pieces, but he also does the paintings that are just black on white canvas. And most of them are, they're kind of working out what he wants to do in the, or what he tries to do with the sculptures that he does too, which are big blocks of something in a space.
Okay.
And so yeah, if you look at them, it's just a bunch of black, but they're huge. They're huge pieces, and it just was very emotional for some reason seeing it in person.
Right.
So that was one of the items that made impression.
Hmm.
Can you think of anything that you like but you don't know why?
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking of. I mean, I guess I know why, but I remember also like on that same Smithsonian trip, when we were at the air and space section of it, they had
Yeah.
the Wright Flyer there.
Right. Right.
And I remember seeing it, and it's like, oh man, that's really cool. You can kind of get a sense of the scale of it. But then you go and you read the little plaque, and you find out like, oh, that's the one. That's the one they
Yeah.
built.
Yeah.
And at that
Yeah.
point, I remember getting really emotional, and I kind of forgot, like, man, I really liked planes
Yeah.
growing up, and this is an important plane to me.
It makes it's an interesting experience to think that you are close enough to touch something that somebody else touched. And that's something that comes into play when you're collecting things that
Hmm.
it has some extra value because it was owned by somebody famous or whatever.
Yeah.
But also just to know that, I don't know, going up and touching a Calder sculpture because they're in public areas, and
Yeah.
it kind of has a sense of I always have to. There are these big metal sculptures. There's nothing really warm about them except for that they are playful, and so there's a warmth. But
Hmm.
I have to go up and touch it.
Yeah.
It's it always seems to be a requirement, and
Yeah.
I kind of have it's not inconsequential. I am reminded, and probably what encourages it even more is I'm reminded of a Pinkwater story. How he went to this warehouse in New York that had all these artifacts, and they weren't museum grade, but they were genuine.
Yeah.
And so and it's like multi-storied, and he's walking through, and he comes across an actual real mummy, and he goes, and I don't know why I did it, but I licked it. I touched my tongue to it. And he goes, and the experience was not inconclusive, because I suddenly felt like my eyes had opened on a desert landscape. Like he like vision quested for a second, and then
Yeah.
the lady comes in and goes, did you did you lick them? But and ask him, he's like, yes. She goes, don't do that. You don't know what's on it. But said as someone, kind of reprimanding him, but also she'd done it herself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
uh,
I think one of the other like last things I remember like watching it and being like, man, I don't know what it is about this, but I really think I need to stick with it was watching Severance.
oh,
I
okay.
remember watching the first episode, and there's not a ton that happens in it, but there's just this feeling like this is brilliant, and I'm not really sure why yet.
Yeah.
But I need to stick with it. And
My experience of that, because I was going to watch the whole series regardless, but
Mhm.
is Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
Yeah,
But that one paid off pretty quickly, but I don't think it pays off for everyone,
yeah,
because I watched it and I was almost like just his. I was almost in hysterics because I thought it was so funny, but it was so subtle, and it was really
Right.
and it's really just about the unbelievability of the coincidences,
Mhm.
and that certain people aren't seeing that they are coincidences, but it's just it's a something in it was filmed holistically. Like there is a holistic nature to how it was filmed. So yeah, so
Yeah.
that's another one that I need to watch. Severance. I watched the first episode and I haven't, and then we didn't have Apple TV anymore. So anyway,
Oh man.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it was a good time.
yeah.
I had
So
to
yeah.
Chloe and I watched it together, and we had to. She stopped watching in like the second season because it does get pretty. It's a lot,
Okay.
very like emotionally intense, and so
Yeah.
I had to finish watching the last couple episodes by myself. But it's really good.
That's cool. Okay. I think I need to introduce a few items.
Mhm.
This piece is very dense,
Okay.
and so the reason I feel like this follows suitably after last week's discussion is that it is poetry,
Okay.
but it's very dense poetry. And I feel like the lyrics last week were very dense. They were very layered with a lot of meaning.
Yeah.
And so this poem often is hard to approach for people, but I think everybody approaches it. Maybe everybody approaches it from the wrong angle, or they just haven't met the people that are like this.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
because when I read it, it comes across. I've met this person.
Hmm.
Okay, so it is about a person, but I want to introduce a few things first. So it's important when reading this poem to have some background works in your pocket.
Okay.
And then I'll explain, you're talking about understanding what LA is like. I'm going to have to help you understand what the turn of the century was like.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
fortunately, there's allusions here, kind of like when we were talking about Kenneth Fearing. Okay. So
Yeah.
having to explain, there'll be some things that have to be explained, but not as much as you think. And we have touched on this poem before, but I don't think the allusion to it was fully exhausting what it means, and it's
Hmm.
going to have better context based on the discussions of last week. So one of the things is you have to know some Bible stories.
Okay.
Those are important, and the Bible is really a source of is one of the great sources of literary allusion across the board. And it doesn't matter who you've read, there's probably something, whether it's religious or against religion, it still is going to go back to a story from the Bible to prove their point.
Yeah.
It is going to be pervasive. So the couple of stories here that are important to know are stories or references is Ecclesiastes chapter 3. At the beginning of that, I think verse 1 through 8 is what I have here. This one starts, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So
Hmm.
there's a song by the Birds called Turn, Turn, Turn.
Oh yeah.
And that it's just a lift, modified,
Modernized.
modified to fit how they want it. But basically it's Ecclesiastes 3.
Okay.
Because it's like a time to be born, like you could sing along, a time to be born, a time to die. So it's important to read this to you. So a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up. And it keeps going. Weep, laugh, mourn, dance, cast stones, gather stones, embrace, refrain from embracing, get or lose, keep or cast away, rend or sow, silence or speak, because the proper timing comes into play in this story. The other story, so that's Old Testament. The story from the New Testament is a story, and it is about King Herod beheading John the Baptist.
Yeah.
So you just have to know that is the story.
That's what happened.
Yeah. So King Herod. So the background, because I didn't realize, I don't know, I didn't realize all this, but the reason that started all this is John the Baptist came to Herod, his wife, probably a title, but her name is Herodias.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably like Herod and Herodias probably means wife of Herod.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But Herodias was Herod's brother's wife.
Okay.
And then now it's his wife. And I think I don't know the whole backstory, but there's probably some intrigue because they're royals and there probably was, and it's 1,000 years ago, a couple thousand years ago. Anyways, John the Baptist said, hey, you shouldn't be married to your brother's wife. And so Herodias got all offended and told Herod, hey, you need to kill him. And Herod's like, no, he's a good guy. I'm not going to do that. And so she goes, fine. And so she sent her daughter, it doesn't really name her, but it does somewhere, but her name's Salome. And there's a movie back in the day called Salome's Last Dance that was, I don't know what it was. But this is
something.
So she dances. It's Herodias's daughter. She's a hot young lady who dances all enticingly. And Herod's like, I love this. I'll give you whatever you want. She goes, I want John the Baptist's head upon a platter, or a charger is what they call it, but same. So that happened. So that, just remember that, it'll come up. And then there's also this poem that's, I don't know if you've ever read it, but this one, you're going to get two poems, but this one is real quick.
Okay.
This is called, and this one is so funny because it's so raunchy. And it's so old too.
Yeah.
Because it's even funnier if you know when it was written. So this is by Andrew Marvell. He was born, he was 1621 to 1678. So this is,
jeez, yeah.
This is, which is not all that hard to believe because it's kind of Shakespeare's time, and he had some pretty saucy stuff too. And then there is also reference to Shakespeare to Hamlet in this. So
okay.
I should probably go into the background of the author, but this is called To His Coy Mistress. Have you ever read that one?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh. But it does have a line that goes with last week, which is going to be hilarious because I was like, I wonder if this is where she got it from.
Yeah.
Because it's not, because the line is out of place in the song.
Okay.
But it makes sense if you know this poem. So, and see if you can pick it out. I'm going to read the first. This is it's 3 stanzas. The first one's the longest, but if you can kind of guess where it's going. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
It says, let me bring it down here where it's easier to read, but it says, had we but world enough in time, this coyness, lady, were no crime, we would sit down and think which way to walk and pass our long love's day. Thou by the Indian Ganges side shouldst rubies find. I by the tide of Humber would complain. I would love you 10 years before the flood, and you should, if you please, refuse till the conversion of the Jews. My vegetable love should grow vaster than empires and more slow, and 100 years should go to praise thine eyes, and on thy forehead gaze, 200 to adore each breast, but 30,000 to the rest, an age at least to every part, and the last age should show your heart. For lady, you deserve this state, nor would I love at lower rate. So he's like, if we had time. So what do you do you think there's a twist to this poem? I'll read the next one.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. It's worth reading. But did you catch the line?
The vegetable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it says, when you said in Chinese satellites, it says, when you said I will never be your vegetable, because I think when you're gone, it's forever. It's I think they're tied.
Yeah. It's like specific enough of a...
Yeah.
referenced.
Yeah. And so then he goes, so bad. Okay. He says, but at my back, I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near, and yonder all before us lie deserts of vast eternity. Thy beauty shall no more be found, nor in thy marble vault shall sound my echoing song. Then worms shall try that long preserved virginity, and your quaint honor turn to dust, and into ashes all my lust. And the grave's a fine and private place, but none, I think, do there embrace. Now therefore, while the youthful hue sits on thy skin like morning dew, and while thy willing soul transpires at every pore with instant fires, now let us sport us while we may. And now, like amorous birds of prey, rather at once our time devour than languish in this slow-chapped power. Let us roll all our strength and all our sweetness up into one ball, and tear our pleasure with rough strife through the iron gates of life. Thus, though we cannot make our son stand still, yet we will make him run. So it's just, if I had all the time in the world, but I don't, so let's do it.
Right.
To shorten it. So it's just a funny poem. I just want to throw that in because it is the antithesis, actually, of what we're going to discuss. So this is somebody who understands, hey, if I had all the time in the world, I'd let you do what you want to do, but I don't, and I'm going to take action. Okay. So this is what I want to discuss is called The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah. So this was one of the first, well, I think it was the first poem that T.S. Eliot published, which is amazing.
Oh, wow.
He was like 26 when he published it.
Nice.
And what I'd always thought T.S. Eliot is British, and he is, but not really. So he was born in America.
Oh, okay.
And which is really interesting because, and this was kind of what the people are saying, is he was born in America in like the Midwest.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And then he was very well educated. In St. Louis was where they were living for a while.
Oh.
I don't know if that's where he's born, but he was like really in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And then he went over to Europe, got an education, and so he is already very well versed in American literature and is very prominent there. But he also went over and became a naturalized British citizen, and pretty much established the tone of British literature during that time.
Wow.
So he
Yeah.
kind of went over there and said, no, this is how it should be, and became what was English literature at the time.
Yeah.
And so this was published in 1915.
Okay.
And the thing that's interesting, there's another section here that we'll discuss, and it's a book you've read. That's why I haven't brought it up yet. But I think it's interesting because there is there's a section that's definitely feels like it was influenced by another work, but it couldn't have been.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Because they were published in the same year and they didn't know each other.
Oh, okay.
So it's really weird, but and you'll have to see if you can pick it out when we get to it. So to start with, so that's all about T.S. Eliot. You know, he's very prolific and also very well versed, and they talked about his love life a little bit, which was really funny because there's some girl they really liked, but then they don't know what happened. She just kind of didn't give him the right signs. So he went to England and he married this girl who he knew he didn't love. And
Yeah.
and then when they talk about it, he's like, it was kind of marriage where I made her unhappy, or I was the kind of husband that just made her unhappy. She was the kind of wife that inspired The Wasteland. Or something to that degree. And I was like, that's hilarious. And then they separated, but they never got divorced, so it was really weird. And then she died, and then he went on with his life, but it
Yeah.
was later, like she was 50 something. So,
Oh.
but this starts off. I don't know. I'll try my best, but the first stanza is in Italian. Okay,
Okay.
but it's a quote from Dante's Inferno, and
Okay.
so it's "S'io credesse che mia risposta fosse e persone che mi tornasse al mondo, questa fiamma staria senza più scasse, ma perché mai de questo fondo non torno vivo alcun, si odo il vero, senza tema de infamia ti rispondo." So I know you understood that, but for anybody that didn't,
Yeah.
and this is I think the key to understanding this. It says, if I believed my answer was to one who would never return to the world, this flame would remain without further tremors. But since no one ever returns from this depth alive, if I hear the truth without fear of infamy, I answer you. So this is a conversation between Dante and some guy in like the 8th or ninth realm of hell.
Yeah.
And this guy that's there is like, we're down here, nobody returns. I can say what I want, nobody's going to hear it because nobody comes back from here. And so there's that idea of he can say whatever truth he wants, but no one's going to hear it.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
And then, but if you thought you were going to be overheard, it says the flame would remain without further tremors. Like he wouldn't disturb anything. If he thought he was going to, he thought somebody was going to understand the truth he was saying, he wouldn't say it.
Yeah.
And
It's
so,
almost like if you're speaking in front of a candle, it'll move. So
right.
if there's
so you got
chance of being heard, it's not, the flame's not going to move.
Right. So as I read this poem, he starts off, the first line in English is, "Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky." So it's you and I as if he's talking to somebody.
Yeah.
I don't think he's talking to anybody. It's got 1,000, because there's nothing explained. And that was the idea of modern poetry. Modern being the modern era, not current poetry.
Yeah.
So modern poetry put it on us to explain, unless it's The Wasteland, and then it's exhaustively explained by T.S. Eliot himself in the margins. But that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But it's not meant to be, they play with the words, and then you're supposed to understand what it is. Okay. So I think we'll go section by section. It's kind of like going track by track, but there's some really, the way this thing is laid out is really interesting because it has a song-like quality to it, because there's returns to familiar phrasing and it repeats certain ideas. And so it's really interesting to see it be aware of itself and to go back on itself. What it also serves to do is that it serves the neurotic nature of the character.
Okay.
And it speaks to somebody, and maybe it's best to, when I say I've met this person, I've met people who obsess about the idea of what they want to do and don't necessarily ever do it. Do you know what I'm talking? Have you met somebody like that they seem to know everything about everything, but they've never done anything?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I have.
And
I was, what I was first thinking about was I was going to think of myself. And like, I remember in high school thinking like I wanted to write music and what I wanted like my music to sound like. And I remember like, okay, it would have synths, but it also have real drums and have these kind of lyrics. And I remember doing all that, like making all these plans, but then I just never did it.
Well, and I think
Well,
that's worthwhile too. I think that's a worthwhile similarity.
yeah. Well, and then it was also I had all these plans, and then shortly after I heard 21 Pilots, and it's like, okay, that's what I was going to try and do, and they're already doing it. So, except the rapping, I wasn't going to do that. But
Yeah, well, that's kind of cool. It's interesting when you have an idea and there's another person that has that idea and they execute it well.
Mhm.
That's kind of cool. But there's also the anxiety of that too. So I I think that there's been times in your life that you were this guy,
Mhm.
okay, where you maybe made up, and I think in a relationship kind of way, because
Uh-huh.
you had some, not, I don't want to betray anything, but you had some periods where you had weird relationships.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they weren't complete. They were not completely. They were not requited.
Yeah.
You had unrequited relationships. You were all in, but maybe the other person wasn't.
Right.
I think that is kind of what this is, but to
Mhm.
a much like a lifelong degree.
Okay.
Okay. Because this is an older person, middle age. So that's part of what makes this interesting is he was 26 when this was published. And so it's not about him. He's,
Mhm. Yeah.
but he's writing it as if he's writing it so intuitively as if it was him
Mhm.
that is unsure of himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you've moved beyond that. So just to, like, you're
Got better.
not this, you're not him, but I think we all go through those times when we are this person, when we
Okay.
maybe make up a situation to be bigger or something different than what it is. And we've imagined the whole history of it, and then it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And you'll see hopefully you'll see what I'm talking about. So there's a lot of anxiety to this poem.
Mm.
So I really do think I'm going to read most of it to
Okay.
discuss. So we'll go back to the first. It says, and it's just, and it gets me sometimes. So it's just really one of my favorites. But it says, "Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread against the sky, like a patient etherized upon a table." So do you know what ether is?
Yeah, it's like a kind of drug or.
Yeah, it was kind of a gas that would just make you not care.
Mhm.
So it says, "The evening is spread out against the sky." That's cool. Like a patient etherized, like the evening doesn't care about them.
Yeah. Wow.
And then "let us go." And then this is interesting because he describes where they're going. It's not a nice place. Just it's a dump because
Uh-huh.
"let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels, and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells, streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question." And then we'll get to the question in a second. But
Okay.
so, yeah.
That's funny because there's a I brought it up. There's an episode of Severance that sounds a lot like that.
Oh, okay.
And where one of the characters goes back to like her hometown and it's all run down and awful. And people are like addicted to ether there.
That's really funny. That might, just because of the timing, and it is kind of funny because as we're going through this, I get visions of works that are more modern than this poem, but are definitely this poem.
Yeah.
So the that term, I just wanted to bring it up. Sawdust restaurants. Do you know what that? Do you know what that? Do you picture anything with that?
I mean, I picture like a Golden Corral or something, but I don't think, or like Cracker Barrel.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
which
what
is
I'm going for.
no, which is what it is now. I think mostly we see this at like a barbecue joint or an old, country style. But
Yeah.
back in the day, because this is going to be in the city somewhere. Yeah, he was in Boston going to Harvard when he would have written this.
Okay.
So back in the day, they put sawdust on all. So this would have been a seafood restaurant because it's sawdust restaurants with oyster shells.
Yeah.
And so when I was in LA, there's a Philippe's, which is the home of the French, or the origin of the French dip. But
Oh, okay.
it's a restaurant that's over 100 years old.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Philippe's was around when this poem was written.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
I think it was 1911 or 1912 or something crazy like that. And so, but you go in there today and there's sawdust on the floor, but it's a sandwich shop, not a old fashioned country place. Yeah. Or seafood. But it was there. They threw sawdust on the floor because it would keep the floors clean, because it would soak up messes and then they could just sweep it out at the end of the night. That was how they kept it actually is healthier.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's a way before they could have industrial cleaners to keep things clean.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just a technique that they used. So, and do you know what insidious actually means?
Not exactly. I kind of know the gist, but not the exact.
Yeah, you think it's bad, insidious intent, bad intent, you'd think, but it's interesting. The definition is proceeding in a gradual, subtle way, but with harmful effects. So
slowly bad.
So cancer is insidious.
Yeah.
Would be, that's it really, that gives you a good visual of what insidious is like. And so somebody could be insidious as well because they're gradually and subtly proceeding, but it's to a harmful effect. And so I think that's interesting because they go through this streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent. So this argument, like, you can just tell these streets are going to lead you in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And then it says, to an overwhelming question, oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. So I viewed that as disregarding the warning signs.
Yeah.
Like, this sets up the poem as we're going through a terrible place. Everything's telling us that this is going to end badly, but let's just go. And so he's talking to this person, maybe even to himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, let's go and make our visit. Then this is a refrain that gets repeated. And it was interesting because I had never thought about what this really means, but it's a great line. And it says, in the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. It's a very famous couplet from this poem. And it's like, what does that mean? What is talking of Michelangelo? And what does that sound like to you?
It sounds like maybe like a high society kind of group of
like
influential people.
It could, or
like an arts,
or pretending to be.
Yeah.
So Michelangelo is an elevated artist, so that's going to be, if I'm going to bring up Michelangelo, I'm going to look like I'm smart. And I think of people. So it's amazing. 1915, 2025, you still have people. I'm cultured because I'm here and I'm in a rich place, but you're still. You've still got the dirt on you, right? Yeah. Like, you can pretend to be sophisticated, but you don't, there's people, it's that whole pretend like you've been here before, act like you've been here before. And there's people that can't, right? And so they're, I'm going to talk about Michelangelo. So it is this kind of like false high society.
Yeah.
Okay.
It can also be kind of like, it's, everyone knows Michelangelo, so it's, you could bring him up and sound smart, but you wouldn't actually know artists who came before him who maybe influenced or inspired him, or
what influenced him. Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of thing. Is you can sound smart if you can quote a few lines from something and know a few artists, and you can get through a conversation, but on further inspection, maybe not.
Yeah,
and I think that's why it's so brief because the women come and go. They're not pondering. They're not studying Michelangelo. They just mention Michelangelo in passing. And then it's interesting because then there's this whole section before it repeats again where it steps out. And we went over this before, but it says it's this whole first. There's two stanzas. The first one is about. It's the yellow fog. So the yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes. And it's interesting because when I write, I try not to repeat words unless it's going to have some meaning.
Yeah.
And it's just like but that is the action of a cat, right? It rubs its back on the window panes, and it rubs its muzzle on the window panes, and it licks its tongue in the corners, and it lingered upon the pool that stands and drains, and let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap. Because you see a cat, it's like, and it jumps. You know how cats act. And seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once around about the house and fell asleep. And that's just that neat idea. And that cat is confident. So that again, that's the opposite of what this. So it's talking to himself. Let's go make our visit, and then stepping outside, seeing the women come and go, seeing the yellow fog as the cat, and then some reflection on that. Because then it comes back in. So it keeps going, seeing externally, then coming back in.
Yeah.
So the next line is, the next section is, and indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street. So the time for that cockiness, rubbing its back upon the window panes. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be time to murder and create, and time for all the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you, and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions, and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of a toast and tea. And just that, I don't know, that goes everywhere.
Yeah.
But it is that allusion to Ecclesiastes, a time for these different things.
Right.
Murder and create, and the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Like, that's just, but the line, that's the fun play is, and time yet for 100 indecisions and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of it, and just, and you can think of, I'm analyzing this and just revising how I'm going to interact. And you can see it just seems like anxiety, right?
That's a good bar too.
Yeah.
That could fit in a rap very well. That lots of internal rhymes.
And it would work too, because it goes, next line, in the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. So all of that happened, like he's seeing this, and he's like, you can see him darting all around, like that. Oh, I see the okay. Here's the okay, and he's just revising.
Yeah.
Okay, and then says, and then he goes back to it, and kind of this pondering. He says, and this kind of, when you're talking about the lyrics stumbling on top of himself in that last in I Know the End.
Yeah.
This is an extended version of that.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
So you have the indecisions and revisions, talking to Michelangelo, and then we already talked about time. It says, and indeed, there will be time to wonder, do I dare, and do I dare? And you kind of, I feel like you have to read those differently.
Yeah.
And then time to turn back and descend the stair with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say, how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to my chin, my necktie rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, but how his arms and legs are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute, there is time for decisions and revisions, which a minute will reverse. So there's that play where he's going back.
Yeah.
To the previous idea of the time, and then decisions and revisions. It's just fun.
Yeah. I like that.
And then
I like that it's like the decisions and revisions, and then with the reverse, it's like it could be something completely different than what I was even trying to change in the first place. And
right. Exactly. And this section here, because of that different in the first place, there's 3 stanzas here that all are that person that I've thought of about, I know what's going to happen. So this person's telling himself, I know how this is going to play out because I've seen it all. I've played this scene in my head. I just have to enact it. And so there's just all this the sadness of this poem. It says a love song, but it's love that never happens, right? But
Right.
it's been played out in his head time and time and time and time again. So this will go pretty quick, but there are some key things. But it says, "For I have known them all already, known them all, have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons." And then this is a really great line. "I have measured out my life with coffee spoons.
Wow.
I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room. So how should I presume? And I've known the eyes already, known them all, the eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase." And so, look, it's like, I know. I've seen this. I know what's going on. I've measured it all. I've put in the time. I've got all, I've measured out my life in coffee spoons, and so should I presume? And then it says beneath the music from a farther room. So how should I presume? And the only reason I'm pulling that out is that, again, a later author, Robert Frost, and it's not quite a direct, there's not a quote about this, but he wrote this kind of thing about poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And the concept is, overall, is that he feels like the language of poetry, and I use this sometimes when I'm writing a poem, is to think about the tone as if you were listening to a conversation in the other room. Where you can't really distinctly hear what they're saying, but you get the tone and you get the rhythm of it.
Yeah.
And I try and think about a poem and the rhythm of it, how it would sound as well.
Yeah.
And so that's the
Interesting.
beneath the music from a farther room. Like he's having the voices dying beneath the music in the other. So he can hear music and voices, but he can't make it out. So she presume, and then he says, and then this part, let me see if it reminds you of something. It says, "And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin?" So does that remind you of anything?
Is that the Metamorphosis?
Yeah, doesn't it sound like he has
Very
the same
similar.
idea?
Yeah.
They were published the same year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and they didn't know each other. I had to look. I researched, like, nope. He was. They weren't even the same. Like he was in England. Kafka was in Hungary. Like, nothing to do with each other, right? But it's that same idea, and that Metamorphosis is all about this built-up anxiety about who you are and this transformation, because you can't deal with who you are.
Yeah.
And so I think that Metamorphosis and Prufrock are the same thing. They're almost the same story.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
but told very differently.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. Yeah, I like that too. With like, because like in the Metamorphosis, he's like, he's a bug, but he's still like, I still have things to do. I still have a job to get to and a family to provide for.
Yeah, it's so good. So he says, "Then how should I begin to spit out all the butt ends of my days and ways, and how should I presume?" And then goes back into it. "And I have known the arms already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and white and bare. But in the lamplight down with light brown hair, is it perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table or wrapped around a shawl." So he's still kind of idealizing this person in his head.
Yeah.
And he goes, and should I then presume? And how should I begin? Like there's so much anxiety.
Yeah.
And so he starts playing out an idea. He's like, "Shall I say I have gone at dusk through narrow streets and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt sleeves leaning out of windows?" And so, back in the day, everybody would wear like the wife beater, right? Under the, as that was and so at night you'd, no air conditioning, or you take the shirt sleeves off, they'd hang out the windows of the apartments. Okay. So should I say I've gone at dusk through these narrow streets and watched the smoke? Is that poetic enough? Does that sound? That's not a good opener. I've watched, and then he's like abandons it in a weird way, because he goes, "I should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas." Like he just gives up. "I should have been a crab. I was a bug. do I? But I
Yeah.
know everything. But I should have just been a crab.
Yeah.
And so then he dives
Yeah.
into that. So
I don't know, I probably should have realized this earlier, but like, is the idea of this is like what he wants his love song to be like?
I think so. I think it's
He's like planned it out. It's like, maybe my love song will be like this, and
but
even
because
though it hasn't happened.
well, and because he doesn't have any practical knowledge, he just has been making up these scenarios in his head. It's just playing out scenarios over and over and over again, and that's the it's kind of the amazingly sad reality of this is that like there's nobody there. You're just doing this, and then he finally starts realizing it, and this is where it gets more. This is probably the more realistic portion, but also the tragedy. So
Yeah.
to get through it a little bit, it says, so I should have been, and it says, and then kind of espouses the advantages of being a crab. He says, and the afternoon, the evening, sleeps so peacefully, smoothed by long fingers, asleep, tired, or it malingers. Stretched on the floor, here beside you and me, should I, after tea and cakes and ices, have the strength to force the moment to its crisis? So this is interesting because it's like, well, maybe if I was a crab and got to rest all day, could then I take action? Because this is where his coy mistress comes in, because he says, force the moment to its crisis, because that's what that whole poem is about, right?
Yeah.
It's like, can I force it? Can I make it happen? And the line malingers is interesting because it says exaggerate or feign illness in order to escape duty or work. So he's pretending to be asleep or tired, or he's pretending to be this crab, and I'm just going to take it easy. So is it being coy? He's describing being coy.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of
yeah, and it's almost like the opposite of the metamorphosis at that point.
yeah.
Where he's like, I can be a crab and just get away from everything.
Yeah. Exactly. And then and then he talks about, he goes, I have paid a price, or I think I have. And that's this line. And this is very kind of religious in origin, because and kind of it's really good because it deals with penance and punishment and death in a very short. So it says, but though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I've seen my head grown slightly bald, brought in upon a platter,
Yeah.
I am no prophet, and here's no great matter. I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short, I was afraid. So I've been trying. I've even gone and fasted and prayed.
Yeah.
But there's my head on a platter, but I'm nobody. Why? And so, my greatness just, it never came.
Right.
And then this part, and then he says, and this is where this is where it starts falling apart, right?
Okay.
So he's like, and in short, I was afraid. And then he's like, I'm afraid that I've done nothing, and the footman comes and takes me away to death. And then he's like, well, I've made up these stories in my head. So, and then he says, and would it have been worth it after all? After the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me, would it have been worthwhile to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to squeeze the universe into a ball? So that's kind of neat, to bitten off the matter with a smile. That comes across as just suck it up.
Yeah.
Just deal with the bad taste in your mouth, but with a smile.
Yeah.
And then squeeze the universe in the ball. I mean, that's anxiety, right?
Yeah.
That's like, just take all of my problems and just push it down, deep down in my gut.
Yeah. I know this isn't what he's going for, but also kind of sounds like the Matt Foley, grab the world by its tail and wrap it around itself and put it in your pocket.
Yeah, it is. But it is that it does. It's because it is, he hits upon some very universal feelings here, and it's
Yeah.
really amazing. But it's then it's the lines that come and you don't expect it. So it says, uh, squeeze the world universe into a ball to roll it towards some overwhelming question and to say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you all. I shall tell you all. If one, settling a pillow by her head, should say, that's not what I meant at all. That is not it at all. So you can picture like, I'm Lazarus, come back from the dead to tell you everything. I've done all this. I know who you are. I've made all these advances, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's not it at all. That's you mistook what I was. And this mistress that he's trying to impress, she's like, that's not what I meant at all. That's not it. And then this is again the repeating of the theme is so good. It says, and would it have been worth it after all? Would it have been worthwhile after the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets, after the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor, and this and so much more is impossible to say just what I mean. But as if a magic lantern threw the nerves in patterns on a screen, would it have been worthwhile if one, settling a pillow or throwing off a shawl and turning towards the window, should say, that is not it at all. That is not what I meant at all. And I'm like, it's crushing.
Yeah.
It is a crushing set of, like, he returns to the theme. He's like, but would it have been worth it still, even if she says this, and then comes back again, says this.
Yeah.
And it's that, and then
Wow.
this is an interesting, the next line, and this gets into Shakespeare. He says, no, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. And the interesting thing about Hamlet is that he is a similar character to this for most of the play, because he's supposed to avenge his father's death,
Yeah.
and he doesn't. He keeps finding reasons not to. Like, and he's making up these ideas. He's playing the scenes in his head,
Yeah.
and he realizes, but he does in the end exact revenge. Hamlet does. And so this is even more of where where Prufrock comes to a reality check. He says, no, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. Am an attendant lord, one that will do to swell a progress, start a scene or two, advise the prince, no doubt an easy tool, deferential, glad to be of use, politic, cautious, and meticulous, full of high sentence, but a bit obtuse. At times, indeed, almost ridiculous, almost at times the fool. And I think that stanza fully realizing his inconsequentialness.
Yeah.
And the word that I really like is obtuse,
Yeah.
because it means annoyingly slow to understand or dull-witted. I was like, oh, that's such a good word.
Yeah.
So, and the fool is capitalized. So the idea of the fool in the play.
Right.
And I just like that whole sentence where he's like, I'm, the background players, the advisors to Hamlet may have had the high dialogue, but it didn't mean anything. They were just there to move the scene along. He's nobody of consequence.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a neat thing. And we're almost there, but then this line, and this one always gets to me, and this is where he really gives up.
Yeah.
Because then he kind of starts making excuses and kind of like, what's really going to happen? I'm never going to talk to her. So he goes, I grow old. I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I've heard the mermaids singing each to each. That's kind of pretty.
Yeah.
Then there's a line all by itself. I do not think they will sing to me.
Aw.
Yeah. And it says, and then he goes, I've a description of them. I've seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back. When the wind blows the water white and black, we have lingered in the chambers of the sea by sea girls wreathed with seaweed red and brown, till human voices wake us, and we drown.
Wow.
So even if he gets into the sea, tries to chase the mermaid, he may see it all, but he's just going to get, he might be entranced by, as he has been. He's been entranced by the idea of this person.
Yeah.
And if he dives fully into her world and then comes to himself, he's just going to drown. It's point and so will it have been worth it? Right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think they will sing to me.
That's fine. That's really sad because like isn't like a mermaid's whole purpose is to entice anyone to crash and just like, well, but not him.
Not him. Right.
he's not good enough for even us to destroy.
And so, and that is, I mean, that's the and we drown. That's how it ends. Really? And it says, it says we. I still think he's talking to himself, like he's the royal we, right?
Yeah.
Like and that kind of plays into the more East Coast British. So Boston, Harvard, elevated. He's a fan and a scholar of classical literature. Yeah. So we see the mermaids and we drown. We have lingered. We meaning him. Like there's nobody there with him, and we've seen that over and over again. And there's just so many. This is again, you can read this 100 times and you're going to find something new because it's very, very dense. And in fact, just in the studying this and seeing the different influences and then pulling them together to actually kind of explain it, I understand it more now. Mm-hmm. And I'd already read this, few dozen times, if not more. Yeah. And still there's just some depth to this and things that I didn't understand until studying it more. And there's probably pages and pages and pages that you could study still. Yeah.
When did you first read it?
I read this in, I think, as far back as high school.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's always been a favorite. Mm-hmm. In fact, the novel I wrote is called The Love Song of Lloyd Ullman. Yeah. Which, just as a side note, there's things that you carry with you that are fascinating and don't really mean anything. You just get obsessed about them, or not obsessed, or just hold it in you. So the reason for that guy's name in my book is because the book is set in both Tucson and Portland and Oregon in general. But when I lived in Oregon, in Portland, my dad worked at the Lloyd building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's where his office was. Mm-hmm. And I was fascinated that there was 2 L's in Lloyd. Because I was like 6 or 7, you know. And I was like, that's a weird name. It's got 2 L's. That's a weird name. And I've always, I just can't get that out of my head. I always think about it. Because it meant something because that's where he worked. But it also, and then.
Do you think you're more drawn to it because your name has a double letter too?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Because, Aaron, what's the point of 2 A's, right? Yeah. Maybe that's it. I'm sure there's layers and layers of deep-seated weirdness. But also the name Ullman is just UHL together for some reason is a gathering of letters that I like. For no reason. I have no idea why. But it works in the story, but it's just, I'm like, why? Yeah. But I was like, name. It's weird. I have no explanation. But yeah. I named it that because I'm obsessed with this.
Yeah. That's cool. I get that. I mean, I always feel like a special connection to like X, because I feel like that's not a letter that gets used that much, and it's in my name. Right. And even in my signature, that's where I kind of make sure the X is the most recognizable part of my signature.
Isn't it funny the things that we do? And I don't know if I think this is worthwhile in the context of this conversation, but I think it's weird the things that we do for irrational reasons. Like I signed my middle name a certain way because of how my dad signed his middle name. So he did it's an L, and so he does this big cursive L that kind of is out of place in a sense, but it's a big cursive L.
Yeah.
And so my signature's up and down except for this big cursive L, and then I finish it off and then I finish my name, but it's more jagged except for this loopy L.
Yeah.
And so but I do that as maybe an homage or a tribute to him, maybe. I don't know, but I know why I do it. In fact,
you know why you do it, but you don't know why you do it.
Yeah. I keep it, and it's natural. But I also, it's interesting because I've also changed my certain parts of my signature on purpose. Like I once wrote out a lowercase t 1,000 times to put a loop at the bottom, so that's how I wrote it, because I didn't want it to look like a plus. So I intentionally wrote it that way so it'd have a swoop.
Yeah.
And then I do my W's with a flourish in them, kind of like a Walt Disney.
Yeah.
Just because it's cool.
Yeah. I started writing my like lowercase a's differently because I do like...
It's that thing, right?
I think I used to like write a circle and then add a line to it.
Oh, yeah.
Until Grandma Mason was like, oh, just do a loop and keep it...
And keep it a tail?
And keep your... Yeah, add a tail to that. You don't have to lift your pen.
Oh, and that's good.
But that was when I was like, I think we were still in Arizona.
Yeah.
No, we were visiting one time. So I was later teen, maybe like 15 or 16 or so.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's when I started doing that.
You know, we make up reasons in our mind to do things. And then I would hope I can recognize the anxiety in these words. And I could tell from your reaction that you were almost on the door of despondent with some of the things that were being said, because it is when you analyze, you can read through this poem really quickly, right?
Yeah.
And not maybe pick up so much, but when you analyze it, it is heartbreaking. But I know people like this who spend all their time obsessing about how they're going to take action and never take action. And so I do think that I take this as, while I identify with I've grown old, I'll wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. I identify with it in the sense that I can visualize myself as an old man who would do that. I don't visualize myself or see in myself a whole lot more of Prufrock than that, because I'm not a person of inaction, but it is heartbreaking because I see a lot of people that are, and it is hard.
Yeah.
To see that when it's somebody you care about or something, and so, and it happens, when you're a father and you see your own kids go, if you would just take the action, or somebody that you're over, I have employees. I'm like, I'm giving you the notes on how to take action. If you just take action, you will still have a job.
Right. Yeah.
things like that. And it's very difficult at times, but I think a lot of people are the guy in the inferno. It's like, I'm not going to say anything if somebody's going to hear it, because I don't want them to know anything about me. But, if you're stuck here in hell with me, and so misery loves company, maybe is how this starts off. And so Prufrock wants you to, come with him. He wants this lady to come with him, but hasn't found anybody that likes the misery. So
yeah,
it's not glamorous, but it is poignant as heck. So
yeah, nice. That's awesome.
Now, do you see the tie-in to last week?
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of anxiety in her writing. I don't know that it's her anxiety. It's more commenting on anxiety that's been felt and dealt with. I think her writing's more hopeful.
Yeah.
So
I think so.
But has experienced things, has had trials. And so I think it's a good juxtaposition of maybe learning the lessons and having a better outcome. And so that's kind
Yeah.
of cool. And that doesn't mean your trials go away or your problems, but definitely sitting around and just thinking about it isn't going to fix it.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I like it. I feel like if I read through it a few more times, I'm gonna find a lot more things that draw inspiration from it.
yeah.
I think that was also the fun thing about reading just finishing Frankenstein
Yeah.
is that its influence is everywhere.
Yeah.
And now that I know it better, kind of know the story better, I'm sure I'm gonna find it everywhere too.
Yeah. Are you gonna watch the new movie?
It sounds really good.
Yeah.
It's Guillermo del Toro, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's got some good actors in it that I think they're going to be very true to the book. I watched the one with Robert De Niro. There was
Mhm.
another Frankenstein done, and I think it's going to be similar to that in that it's true to the story.
Yeah.
That one's very true to the story,
Yeah.
and it's that thing, and it's that really good thing, so much ahead of its time, where the villain is not the monster.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so yeah, I remember seeing a few photos of it and some like posters, and
Yeah,
now going through it, it's like it seems like there's a lot of focus on the snow and the cold, which
yeah,
was a big thing throughout the book.
yeah,
I like the images of the monster. They weren't green because in the book
yeah.
describes it as like off yellowish kind of color.
Right, right, right.
So that's cool. But also that reminds me of a we went to a book debut, a book tour
Yeah.
for Chuck Tingle,
Oh yeah. Okay.
who mostly does erotica romance stuff, but with like hooking up with like concepts
Yeah.
a lot
Okay.
of times. But he was touring this like actual horror book he wrote that I'm gonna have to read soon. It sounds really fun. But he played this game where he makes his own book covers, and he showed the cover, and it was like this guy, this like muscular guy, but he was all green. And he was like, okay, you're gonna have to guess the real title of this book. And one of the options was like pounded in the butt by the concept of someone saying, actually, it's Frankenstein's monster, when a true reading of the book reveals like the doctor was the monster.
Oh no. Unfortunately, while that's crass, it's completely accurate.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, so not to take away from that, but I was reading an analysis of Prufrock as well.
Mhm.
And the number of things that influenced, including modern music and stuff, is exponential. So
Yeah.
your statement of reading it and finding more stuff, it's going to be there. So just to kind of tie that in, I wanted to make that point. But
Is all of his stuff kind of this dense? Is that just how he wrote? Or-
yeah, it is. Some of it. Let's see. There's eras of his writing that are different, right?
Mm.
But a lot of it just moves through different types of things. There's one called Portrait of a Lady that's pretty famous. This one, just the opening of this one is a quote from a book, I guess, called The Jew of Malta. And
Mhm.
the quote is, "Thou hast committed fornication, but that was in another country, and besides, the wench is dead." It's like,
Jeez.
uh, and so this one's, kind of a maybe not so. It seems pretty dense as well. I think, and he was very much about the literature and the history of literature, and
Mhm.
had very strong opinions about what literature should be.
Yeah.
He was his some of his friends was Ezra Pound, who's a very famous, but he kind of discovered Eliot
Oh, okay.
and promoted him and got this Prufrock published.
Mm.
But Ezra Pound's comment was when he read Prufrock is, I don't understand it, but I know it's genius. And so
Yeah.
that's really the line that kind of feeds into all of what the whole concept of what I was bringing is, that maybe you don't understand it at first, but you read it and you know it's genius. And
Right.
that's the really amazing thing about it, is it's brilliant. And Ezra Pound was no slouch. He wrote volumes.
Hmm.
But to be able to say I don't understand it, but I know, because you can get a sense. You can get a sense that it's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I really like it. I really like it's one of my favorites, and it just keeps building on itself as being a real positive experience. So
Yeah.
and is lots of layers to unwrap. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Awesome.
I thought it tied into last week
Yeah.
more nicely than I would have expected. And so that's what kind of sealed the topic, is
Yeah.
as like I'm reading this going, oh, this is such a perfect next step.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
anyway, so you got two for
Good.
one. You got 2 poems and a reference last week, and some religious study, since you need, I don't know, not really, but
Yeah.
there you go. So that's what I have. Yeah. Thanks
Awesome.
for joining me. I know it's I appreciate the patience in the journey, but I appreciate your engagement too. So
That's good. I think it's a good way to wrap up this section of episodes, and
yeah.
we'll go into our recap next week. And
Yeah, that will be interesting because it's a different set. It's
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, but it's going to be interesting. I think I'm more up to date on your presentations this time around. So
That's good.
I had to resist. I should have done, since this is our 19th episode, I should have done Stephen King, but
Yeah. Right.
I resisted. I maybe it's too cliche, or just I wasn't ready. But
Man.
so
Cool.
very good. Well, thank you for your time, and thanks to all the listeners for coming
Listening.
along. Yeah, coming along on the ride. Hope it was
Yeah.
worth it.
It's been cool. We just got 200 views.
Oh,
Just over
cool.
200. So it's been really fun.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm glad it's kept going. I was afraid that it would be a one and done, because it was so nerve-wracking the first time.
Yeah. And I did see one thing in the analytics, and I wonder if you would know, but there's 1% of listeners from Spain.
Oh,
And I thought you knew somebody who lived part-time in Spain. Or
yeah. I mean, one of my friends has triple citizenship, Spain, U.S., and Mexico.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he knows about this. But there are other people I know that. But that's interesting. That's really that's fascinating. I wonder who that is. That's great. If it's you, comment. Right?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I bet you it was somebody for your Bo Burnham episode that we don't even know,
Maybe.
because that got a lot of play because it's Bo Burnham.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant. I'll just give you that. No,
Okay.
We'll just claim that. It was such a good episode that,
Yeah.
of course, it was well listened to.
Unless it was a Calder one, because I think that's the most popular episode.
Oh, that could be too. But fun. Excellent. And have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thanks. You too. I'll talk to you later.
All right. See you around.
Bye.
Bye.